हेलो हेलो हेलो। आवाज नहीं आ रही। हेलो हेलो। हेलो
हेलो हेलो।
जी सर, आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ आ रही है, आपको आ रही मेरी?
आ रही है, बिल्कुल आ रही है सर।
बस तो ठीक है जी, बढ़िया। चौधरी साहब को नमस्कार।
नमस्कार नमस्कार नमस्कार। बोलो भाई, क्या
कैसे हैं
हाल है?
हो? मैं ठीक हूँ जी, आप कैसे हैं? हाउ आर यू?
कैरिंग ऑन, कैरिंग ऑन।
वेरी राइट सर, वेरी गुड टू सी यू।
चलो ठीक है।
प्रसाद साहब आ गए? रावत।
जी जी,
हेलो
प्रसाद साहब दिख रहे हैं। वीडियो नहीं ऑन किया मैंने।
रावत।
जी सर, आवाज आ रही है आपको मेरी?
हाँ आवाज आ रही है तुम्हारी, पर तुम्हारा वीडियो काम नहीं कर रहा।
वीडियो तो मेरा तो बिल्कुल दिख रहा है सर, पता नहीं।
तुम स्टिल हो गए हो।
अच्छा, या वो इंटरनेट का इशू चल रहा है ना शायद, इसलिए मेरा वीडियो गायब हुआ।
हाँ प्रसाद साहब आ गए।
हाँ, प्रसाद साहब ने भी वीडियो।
चलो तुम्हारे सेक्रेटरी जनरल साहब भी आ गए।
हाँ हाँ, आ गया हमारे बम्बानी साहब।
ये एंटरप्राइज आईटी क्या है?
ये वही अपने एनर्जी एक्सचेंज वाले।
अच्छा अच्छा, ओके।
ये हो।
हेलो हेलो हेलो।
जी बम्बानी साहब।
आवाज आ गई? आपको आवाज आ रही है?
आप बिल्कुल आ रही है साहब, बिल्कुल आ रही है, बुलंद आवाज आपकी।
है?
आ रही है, आ रही है।
तो ये मेरा फोटो इधर है, नाम इधर है।
है जी।
इसको तो भी आएंगी। आगे बढ़। मील 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 इसका चौधरी मील सबका
ये मेरी फोटो यहाँ आ रही है, नाम इधर आ रहा है, दो जगह हो गया क्या?
कुछ नहीं, अच्छा ऐसे ही आ रहे थे।
निकल जाएगा।
अब हो रहा है, ऑन हो रहा है, होल्ड ऑन आ रहा है नीचे। आएगा आपको
है सुन गया ना?
स्टार्ट तो कर। आएगा सब, पता नहीं ऐसे क्यों आ रहा है। एक मिनट। रोटेट हो गया था। ठीक ठीक है, नहीं बैक टू
कोई तो हो गया था। गुड।
आफ्टरनून बंबानी साहब।
हेलो, गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड आफ्टरनून
गुड आफ्टरनून
एवरीबॉडी।
ब्रह्मा जी। और जी वर्मा जी कैसे हो?
बस ठीक है गौतम जी, आप कैसे हैं?
बस
गौतम
बस
जी आप कैसे हो?
बढ़िया है जी, कृपा है, आपकी कृपा है, चल रहा है।
आवाज आ रही है बड़ी बढ़िया, आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
हाँ आवाज आ रही है, क्यों नहीं। बुलंद आवाज कभी छुपती है?
नहीं यार नहीं।
बुलंद आवाज तो है बंबानी साहब, ये इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है।
हाँ।
शाही साहब भी आ गए हैं। नमस्कार शाही साहब, नमस्कार। आर यू देयर?
एसएस रावत द होस्ट, होस्ट तो है, होस्ट आ गया है। हाँ जी गौतम जी,
हाँ जी।
मैं क्या एसएस रावत होस्ट आ गया है।
हाँ तो वो है ना भाई होस्ट, ऑन योर बिहाफ ही इज द होस्ट।
वन मिलियन टन
यस।
कोल प्रोडक्शन।
जो कि इस साल हो जाने वाली है।
होने वाली है। बोला कितना भी लोग पसंद ना करें बट है उसकी डिमांड।
कौन साला ये सब कहने की बातें हैं
उसके
साला।
बगैर चाहते नहीं है।
नहीं नहीं, बट अंदर खाना एवरीबडी इज गोइंग फॉर इट।
नेचुरली अब तो कह भी दिया
ओके ओके
कि कोल्ड जनरेटिंग कैपेसिटी चाहिए।
हाँ गांगिया साहब तो 3 बजे याद है ना सर? लिंक भेज दिया हमने आपको, मेल एज वेल एज व्हाट्सएप दोनों में। ओके 3 बजे तक सारे ज्वाइन कर लेंगे स्पीकर गौतम साहब।
क्या गंगा सब आ रहे हैं?
हाँ बिल्कुल आ रहे हैं।
और हजारा जी?
हजारा जी भी कह रहे 3 बजे ज्वाइन कर लूंगा मैं।
ओके, वेरी गुड, थैंक यू।
प्रसाद साहब तो आ ही गए हैं, आपने
प्रसाद साहब आ गए, यस।
दावत कहाँ चला गया? दावत
हाँ लिंक भेजा हूँ किसी को,
है?
लिंक मांगा किसी ने तो भेज रहा हूँ।
तू कहाँ चला गया?
मैं तो यही हूँ बम्बाई साहब।
तेरी फोटो नहीं आ रही। होस्ट की फोटो नहीं है।
अब आ गई सर?
हाँ हेलो हेलो हेलो, आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही है, बिल्कुल आ रही
लाउड
है।
एंड क्लियर।
हैं? दावत आवाज आ रही है?
या यू आर
आ
लाउड
रही
एंड
है,
क्लियर।
हैं?
हेलो
क्या कह रहे हो? आवाज आ रही है?
आगरा साहब भी आ गए।
आवाज आ रही है?
यस
आ रही है
यस
बम्बाई
यस
साहब,
यस यू
loud
आर
and
क्लियर,
clear।
यू आर लाउड एंड क्लियर मिस्टर भंबानी,
है जी?
यू आर लाउड एंड क्लियर।
गौतम की आवाज नहीं आ रही।
तो जब बोलेंगे तब आएगी ना।
अभी बोल रहे हैं कुछ।
हाँ?
गौतम आवाज नहीं आ रही तुम्हारी।
गौतम जी शांत हैं, अभी क्यों आ गई आवाज उनको?
Mr. Gautam, good afternoon.
हाँ, कुमार साहब आ गए।
Ravi Saab, good evening. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
कुमार साहब
शाही
गुड
साहब अभी
आफ्टरनून।
दिखाई नहीं पड़े हैं।
कुमार साहब गुड आफ्टरनून।
Good afternoon जी। नमस्कार नमस्कार प्रसाद जी।
Chaudhary Sahab, our ex-chairman, our ex-CMD, Kumar Sahab, and all the dignitaries. I'm really delighted to see you all at one frame.
कुमार साहब गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड आफ्टरनून।
Ravi Saab, good afternoon. BP,
गुड आफ्टरनून। कुमार साहब आवाज आ रही है?
नमस्कार।
Kumar Sahib is saying, I mean, is responding to you with Mamani ji.
VP Singh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon जी, good afternoon.
Your voice is not clear. Good afternoon. Chaudhary Saab, pranam sir. Chaudhary Saab, is not hearing.
गर्ग साहब प्रणाम।
प्रणाम भाई प्रणाम।
Gautam ji, I hope I am clearly audible. Gautam ji, I can't hear you.
या गौतम की आवाज नहीं आ रही।
गौतम जी बोल नहीं रहे जान के, आवाज नहीं आएगी।
वर्मा जी आवाज आ रही है?
गौतम जी की नहीं आ रही, वैसे तो आ रही है, आपकी आवाज आ रही।
शाही साहब आ गए हैं। शाही साहब इज बिजी।
हमारी आवाज, हम फोटो का
वर्मा जी आपकी भी आवाज कम आ रही है।
अभी तेज कर देता हूँ।
गर्ग साहब आवाज आ रही है?
हेयर में सर बहुत कम आवाज आ रही है मेरी।
गर्ग साहब
आवाज आ रही है मेरी? अब आई सर थोड़ी।
अच्छा ओके।
फोटो कहाँ चली गई फिर?
Ravi Saab, good afternoon.
Very good afternoon, sir. Am I audible to everyone, sir?
ये क्या साउंड का कुछ गड़बड़ हो रहा है? क्या हो रहा है भाई?
कुछ गड़बड़ है आवाज में।
कभी आ रही है, कभी नहीं आ रही, किसी की आ रही है, किसी की नहीं आ रही।
कभी फोटो भी चली जाती है।
फोटो भी आती है, कभी चली जाती है।
मानी साहब फोटो चली भी जाए आवाज आनी चाहिए। फोटो तो हम चेहरे जानते हैं। गर्ग साहब कैन यू हियर मी नाउ?
अब आ रही है सर।
हाँ शुक्र है जी, थैंक यू।
गुड आफ्टरनून।
गर्ग साहब इतनी चमकीली शर्ट पहन के आए हो यार आज।
यार वर्मा जी थोड़ा दम लगा के बोलो।
तुम्हारी शर्ट की तारीफ कर रहा था।
चली गई फिर।
और साहब भी आ गए।
नहीं बाकी तो ठीक है भाई, आवाज नहीं आई तो कैसे चलेगा।
आवाज के बगैर गड़बड़ है जी, बाकी तो चेहरा नहीं भी देखे तो चल जाएगा।
मानी जी आवाज को क्या हो गया?
पता नहीं क्या आवाज हो गया साहब। फोटो भी चली गई, फोटो भी आ गया।
शुरावत
आवाज तो आ रही है साहब सबकी।
अरे भाई तुम्हारी आ रही है ना, बाकी लोगों की नहीं आ रही।
आपको आ रही है मेरी आवाज गर्ग साहब?
भाई 50% से भी कम आ रही है।
आपका बैंडविड्थ का इशू होगा सर कुछ।
वॉल्यूम बड़ा लो आ रहा है आवाज का।
हेलो 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 हेलो।
आ रही है बमानी साहब, आ रही है आपकी आवाज।
तो हमारे बीच में जो है
गर्ग साहब अपना वॉल्यूम
बढ़ाइए।
सर वॉल्यूम तो पूरा ही है।
आपकी आवाज तो बुलंद आ रही है
नहीं,
सर।
गर्ग साहब की आवाज तो बड़ी ठीक हमें सुनाई दे रही है।
मेरी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है?
हाँ भैया।
सर वॉल्यूम तो 100% है।
आपकी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है।
आपकी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है, हमारी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है?
थोड़ा कमती है भवानी जी का।
सर हमें तो आपकी आवाज सुननी है।
गुड आफ्टरनून, गुड आफ्टरनून।
गुड आफ्टरनून सर।
गुड आफ्टरनून।
हमें सबों की आवाज सुनाई पड़ रही है।
चलिए बहुत अच्छा है सर। वो सब
हमको भी आवाज आ रही है सबकी।
आप सुन रहे हैं, बस सब ठीक है फिर।
ओके।
चलो जल्द शुरू कर दो, नहीं तो ये भी चली जाएगी।
हमारे साहब शुरू करिए, टाइम तो हो गया।
साई साहब आ गए?
साईं साहब आ गए।
विजिबल नाउ। साई साहब गुड आफ्टरनून।
वो रावत गांगिया साहब आए क्या? गांगिया साहब
अभी गांगिया साहब ने अभी बात नहीं
दिखाई नहीं पड़ रहे हैं।
उनको जरा फिर से फोन करो यार।
हाँ वही है,
अभी
एक्टिव
करता हूं।
स्टेटस में तो वही है।
हाँ गांगिया साहब प्लीज ज्वाइन कर लीजिए सर, सारे आगे हाँ मैंने अभी आपको दोबारा भी भेज दिया ईमेल से। आप हाँ बोलिए कौन सा था भेजूं? इसी नंबर के लास्ट में 777 आप ओके।
Gautam ji, if everyone has joined, I think you can start. Now it's past 3 o'clock.
हाँ जी, we can start. Mr. Bambani is to start.
हेलो,
Mr. Gange has come.
shall we start?
Gautam,
हाँ जी,
Mr. Gange has come.
Mr. Gangi, I can't see yet.
Go sir might be knowing.
दोबारा भेजना
नहीं, वो इन्होंने बोला, मिस्टर रावत बोला कि ये इसका हमारे मिस्टर रावत बता रहे थे कुछ।
रावत कह रहे हैं कि वो ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं।
Should we start without him or with?
Shall we start?
अभी
गौतम जी,
हाँ जी,
shall we
What is
start?
the number, Rawat?
14 सर,
How many?
1414 सर।
अरे अभी सिर्फ 14 लोग ज्वाइन किए, थोड़ा रुक जाइए 5 मिनट। Just 14. Coal is so popular. हाँ, अरे last few days I have seen so many write-ups on very websites.
Quality is not very popular, sir.
So no, I think coal is really in demand.
Yeah,
very much in demand, sir.
In early days of this euphoria, I took a position that don't ignore coal. Coal is going to stay. Now more and more people are joining that slogan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the beginning, only 3 of us,
only 14 have
myself,
joined.
Gautam, and Partha. We were on the same page. Abhi dhire
Yes, sir. Very much so.
Ah, and of course Kumar is the long-standing
Advocate of coal.
favorite coal. That's okay. So coal people, no problem. But I'm saying that I took a position that we cannot forget about coal.
I was with you from the beginning.
That we will keep on delivering lectures, but coal will continue to grow.
Ah, correct.
Yeah.
That is a good thing also, a
Yes,
bad
last
thing
year.
also. That makes coal people present. वो भी problem है.
जो घर में घर की चीज है वो कंटिन्यू करेगी. Coal is our only energy source.
Ambani ji cannot be heard properly. Something is wrong.
नहीं आ रही आवाज क्या?
Very low. The volume is very low. Others like Shahi ji and others, they are very well heard.
मुझे तो करना भी नहीं आता.
रावत जी, गांगिया जी आ गए.
हेलो, आवाज आ रही है? ठीक है.
थोड़ा बेटर है थोड़ा.
हाँ जी, हाँ बोलिए.
अभी तो कहे थे बुलंद आवाज है. चलिए शुरू करें.
हाँ करिए शुरू. रावत जी, गांगिया जी को जरा देखते. आ गए. थैंक यू मिस्टर गांगिया. आ गए. अब स्टार्ट करिए जी. एवरीबॉडी इज इन प्लेस.
हेलो, वेलकम एड्रेस. I welcome you
Again,
all.
sir.
I welcome you all.
Yeah. Let's come.
To this flagship webinar on 1 million coal production, logistic challenges and way forward. Coal is a domestic energy. Coal will remain always as the main source of energy. Coal production is going every year up, and this 1 million ton will be achieved also. We have learned speakers on the subject covering the transportation of the coal. We'll hear from them what logistic problems will be faced and what can be solved, how these will be solved. So with this, we don't have many participants yet. 16 people have joined. Slowly, I think the people will join. So we can continue with this. I now request Mr. Gautam to please introduce the speakers and introduce the event.
Yes, Mr. Bambani, we will go as per the published program. So I now do the brief introduction. So, dear energy experts, friends and gentlemen, very good afternoon to you. It is indeed a great pleasure to welcome you all to the India Energy Forum webinar on a very important topic, coal, 1 billion ton coal production, logistic challenges and way forward. We are very fortunate to have very distinguished and learned panel of very eminent speakers, Mr. Manoj Kumar Gange, ED Planning Railway Board, Shri Yashan Prasad, former Director Marketing Coal India, and Shri Sabyasachi Hadara, former CMD Shipping Corporation of India, who will express their views on this very important topic. Coal, a very carbon-intensive energy source, is at the center of a global debate on energy and climate change policy. In a growing number of developed countries, the elimination of coal-fired generation is a key climate change policy. In other countries, especially in Asia-Pacific region, coal still remains the preferred source of electricity generation and is seen as an abundant and affordable energy-based load source. As the world is trying hard to find viable alternative energy sources, coal continues to maintain its sheen in India, China, and the other Asian Pacific regions. Even now, USA and Europe has also started tilting towards it and shall continue to dominate the energy scene for at least 2 to 3 more decades positively. India too has embarked on a very ambitious program of renewable energy and is targeted to reach 500 gigawatts by the year 2030. Many countries have already declared year 2050 as target year for attaining net zero carbon emission. China claims to achieve it by net zero carbon emission by 2060. In spite of the great global pressure, at the COP26 in Glasgow, our Honorable Prime Minister announced that the target year for India reaching net zero carbon emission would be 2070. India led a handful of developing countries to be successful in pushing the coal phase out to coal phase down. In G20 declaration also, it was unanimously agreed to phase down the use of coal. India, being a very big net importer of energy, is in a very precarious situation. Coal is the only indigenous energy fuel abundantly available in the country. India is already importing 80% of its oil and also importing, in spite of huge available coal resources, over 200 million tons of coal, of which sizable amount is thermal coal. For For feeding its high growth rate of economy, India has to depend on coal for some more decades to come. To meet the rising need of the Indian economy, India is forced to increase its coal production at a very fast growth rate of about 12 to 13%. The Coal India target for the year 2023-24 is 1012 million tons, 1012 million tons, out of which Coal India's share is 780 million tons. In the first quarter, CIL has produced 223 million tons against 2005 million tons of last year. There is very high level of confidence that coal production in the year 2023-24 will definitely reach a billion tons. Now this coal of 1 billion ton has to reach the consumer. For our logistical structure is already quite stretched, so we have to accept this challenge and come out successful. In view of the above, Coal Ministry is taking several initiatives: coal evacuation structure, including laying new railway lines. MOC is working also on a coal logistic policy and an evacuation plan. Under the Atma Bharat Nirbhar Abhiyan, Government of India has allocated rupees 50,000 crores for creating coal evacuation infrastructure. It includes rupees 18,000 crores for mechanized coal transport. Coal India will pump over 1.2 lakh crores on the projects related to coal evacuation, exploration and clean coal technologies by the year 2023-24. To achieve 1 billion ton of fuel output target, out of the proposed spend of 1.22 lakh crores, Coal India has planned to invest 32,000 crores on coal evacuation, 25,000 crores on mine infrastructure, and 29,000 crores on project development by the year 2023-24. These moves are in line with the centre's effort to bring down the coal imports also. Major increase in production is going to come from coal fields like Hasdev, Korba, Mand Raigad, Ib Valley, Talcher, and North Karanpura. Under the command area of Southeastern Coalfield, Mahanadi Coalfield, and Central Coalfield, respectively. Coal evacuation is going to be the biggest challenge for handling augmented coal production from these coalfields and feeding to the uninterrupted coal supply to the end-use coal destinations located across India. It has been experienced in the past that coal evacuation arrangements are not developed concurrently with the development of mine, resulting into huge built-up of the pithead coal stocks due to dispatch bottlenecks. The coal movement pattern is railways, including Rail Cum C, 55%, road 26%, MGR 17%, belt conveyors ropeways 2%. It is therefore suggested to have focused approach for development of the coal evacuation infrastructure, such as pit-top loading infrastructure, silos, rapid loading system, etc. Augmentation of existing railway line and development of new rail lines on JVs or stroke PP mode, deficiency and its corrections. Construction of conveyor belt from pit top to nearby sidings wherever possible. avoid road transport as far as possible, as it is neither cost effective nor good for environment and civil governance. We will be hearing more in detail from the very learned esteemed speakers to follow. May I now invite Shri U. Kumar, former CMD, Northern Coalfield Limited and Southeastern Coalfield Limited, to give the introduction of the theme of the webinar. So may I request Shri Kumar to please come in. Mr. Kumar.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. But whatever is to be said about the subject, Mr. Gautam has already said. Only thing is probably we are a little too late in making projection of 1 billion ton. In all likelihood, 1 billion ton production is going to be achieved this year itself. That is between Coal India and commercial coal blocks. This figure of 1 billion ton is most likely will be going to achieved in this year itself. And the problem of inadequate transportation facilities is going to get more and more pronounced right from this year. As Mr. Gautam explained, government have moved very
Sound को क्या हुआ भाई?
in this direction. So that commercial coal block holders, they have also to contribute. Out of this 13 rail lines which had been planned, have been on 14th, and the focus was Purva, Raigarh, what Mr. Gautam talked, the Korea River coal, so the Mandragar coal field and Purva coal field. Earlier the pattern was that new coal fields were being taken by Coal India and before that NCDC. Like what has happened in Singarodi, what happened in Korba, what happened in the eastern part of Korea River coal field. It was all the attempt on job of NCDC, and they could plan things in advance. They were opening projects according to that plan. Now the problem has cropped up because of the unsystematic allocation of commercial coal blocks. Commercial coal blocks are being distributed all over the country. In whatever coal field, even small level of exploration has been done, coal blocks have been identified and these are being allotted. A small coal mine, even for a 10 million ton mine, coal mine, it will not be possible to plan and construct 30-40 kilometers of coal siding, and that is going to cause problems. It has been thought rightly that the state government, Coal India and railways should join hands to make progress in this direction. Some attempts have been made, some success stories have been written, but more requires to be done, and I'm very sure that it will be done. But then the focus right now is only on rail. And you have to think of other means of coal transport as well, say like the sea route. As it is, land come sea route is built in Mahanadi coal fields for transporting about 30-40 million tons every year to South India. The study has shown that even up to 130 million tons per year can be handled through this route, which can be extended to West Coast as well. There's another possibility of riverine transport, inland transport. Beginning has been made in that direction. A very ambitious step has been taken by registering a company only for this purpose. Surveys have been made. Almost 111 routes have been identified, which could be utilized for supplementing the efforts of rail and coal transportation. Hopefully, these routes will become operational one by one, because a lot of infrastructural facilities have to be developed for commissioning these routes. And the best part, the most important and difficult part is the dredging of the riverbed. which is a difficult job, time-consuming job, capital-intensive job, but there being a determination to move in the matter, we can reasonably hope that this route would also contribute to the overall transport facility for coal. There's another route for conveyors. I quite admit that conveyor is the route is the cheapest out of all, and it's environment friendly as well. Maybe difficulty that in managing long distance conveyor transport, be difficulty of land. There may be difficulties about presence of cities, presence of natural obstructions, but at least after a distance of about 200 kilometers, conveyor transport can be planned and can be planned very efficiently for giving a very efficient and cost-effective solution. I am quite hopeful that with all these aspects being attended to, coal transportation should become easier going forward. But one thing has got to be noted. I mean, when we talk net zero emission, it really does not mean that the coal has got to be eliminated. Coal will continue. For all you know, I mean, that the way things are going, coal use will continue to grow. Last year, the growth has been 1.5%. Before that, it was 1.3%. And from all appearances, coal consumption will grow high. And like Mr. Sahi was saying before that, before the start of our convention, that coal dependence on coal will continue, and for all it matters, this dependence will become stronger. So far, we are concerned, we have no choice. Only thing is that when we increase coal consumption, we have also to take care that the impact of coal or the adverse impact of coal on environment should be taken care of. And coal by itself, though it's a problem, the problem of global warming, global climate change is attributed to coal, but coal by itself had got the capacity to undo all this damage. And the study shows that compared to renewables on which billions are being spent, managing coal combustion more scientifically will be cheaper, will be more cost effective, and will be even practical, will be more practical. All that needed is little research on carbon capture and sequestration. Right now, I do admit it's expensive, it's costly, and probably in the present scheme of things, coal capture and sequestration does not fit in. But like what happened in renewables, I mean, we started with 19, 20 rupees per unit of solar power. We have brought it down to 2.503. Same thing will happen with greater research in coal carbon capture. And I do hope that that moving forward, this will happen. And with coal capture, carbon capture becoming a reality, coal itself will give a solution that coal will generate power, coal will get consumed in a larger measure, and yet its impact on environment will be reduced. But that being whatever it is, we realize that coal is produced only in 6-7 states in the country. Coal is utilized all over the country, and coal will have to move. Coal is a bulk commodity, and transportation is a very important aspect, not only in matters of challenges, but in matters of cost also. So hopefully, this webinar, in which such learned speakers are there, I know Mr. Prasad has been a long-time colleague. I know Dr. Hazara. I have known him only for 2 years, but I mean, from whatever I've seen in him, and the knowledge that he possesses, I think he will be a source of guideline and guidance for us. And he made a remarkable analysis of what railways were doing and what railways required to do. I think the webinar is going to be very educative for us, very illuminating for us, and we should do policy making based on whatever is deliberated upon today. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I'd like now request to introduce the
Yes, sir.
speakers as they are called upon to speak. Move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I will request our esteemed President, Mr. R.B. Shahi, to give his presidential remarks on this subject, and then we'll move as per program. So, Mr. Shahi, please come in.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Kumar, and all distinguished panelists, speakers. On behalf of IEF, let me also welcome you all as participants, as also distinguished speakers who have kindly agreed to participate and share their thoughts on this very important, very, very important subject. We had done a seminar, not exactly on this 1 billion ton coal and what are the challenges and what are the way forward, but on a general issue of coal logistics, coal transportation. Like on coal, we have done a number of workshops and seminars by India Energy Forum on the long-term plan, on the future of coal, on quality of coal, on washing of coal, on gasification of coal, a whole range of issues we have discussed. Now, in the wake of an emerging thing now, in the last 6-7 years, a sort of not a consensus, but a thought emerged. And we also talked in one of the discussions, future of coal. Future of coal. When we had Mr. Jain as the coal secretary, we had invited him. At that time, this issue also as a point of reference, future of coal. Because of the world's obsession on carbon emission, and therefore the actions that are being planned and being implemented through renewables, through solar, through wind, hydrogen, and a large number of issues on energy transition. I personally took an early position, very early position, not now, because I did make some calculation that India is not in a position to sort of afford that type of a thought that we will participate in a big way and make a global difference in reducing carbon. Because India is at a very low level of energy consumption, low level of power consumption, 1250 kilowatt hour per head per year. And during the period we have talked, our differences are widening and widening with reference to the per capita consumption of electricity in China. 6-7 years back, we used to say China is 3 times and we are somewhere. Now China is 4 times. China is 5,000 kilowatt hour plus and we are at 1250. So therefore, we have a need. We have a population growth which can be very conservative. Population growth is conservatively now projected at a lower percentage. Still, we will be much larger than China in 2050. Now itself we have almost crossed. So therefore, per capita consumption, given the very poor base that we have, will increase. We will harness all potentials of hydroelectric, water power. We will harness all potentials of solar. We will harness all potentials of wind. Still, we will need to grow. So the position that I had taken at that time was that maybe proportion of coal-based power generation will reduce from 70% now to maybe 30% in 2050. But the absolute value of billion units of coal that is produced, and therefore absolute value of tons of coal that is consumed will be much, much, much larger. So the coal-based power generation in next 10, 20, and 30 years will be more than coal-based power generation now. So therefore, let us settle that matter. This position we took, personally I took about a couple of years or 3 years back. Today, more and more people are recognizing, even some of the Western countries, the European countries are getting back their shut down coal-based power plants. Ukraine crisis has also sort of thrown some lessons in this. So therefore, that matter, let us settle it there. Now, having said that, the problem of today's discussion is not whether coal will be 1 billion ton or someday it will be 2 billion ton or more. It will definitely cross 1 billion ton. Ministry of Coal, PIB, I think I have a PIB record. Couple of years back, they came out with a figure that Coal India itself will do 1 billion ton of coal by 2024. Now that figure is revised. That figure is now revised to 2025-26. But that is Coal India. When we are talking of coal logistic, we are not talking of coal logistic only for Coal India, because now the structure of coal industry is also undergoing change. We have captive coal blocks allotted, we have commercial coal mining blocks allotted, and these are giving good yields, Captive coal block production growth is more than, let's say, Coal India growth. Even commercial mining very soon, growth in terms of growth, not the total value, will increase. So therefore, when we talk of coal logistic, we are talking of coal by Coal India, Singareni coalfield. These were our past champions. They continue to be our champions. They will continue to be champions for many more decades. But then there would be substantial addition to coal production by various other organizations. Already they have started happening. So therefore, when we talk of coal logistic, even today and in the past, I used to attend the meeting of the Cabinet Secretariat Coordination Secretary way back in 91, 92, when the issue was coal production, rake, movement, etc., linkage, and those issues continue. We have production, but we can't be lifted. If we lift, we can't take, we don't have sufficient rakes. And as a result, now itself it was being said by Gautam that almost, how much, 26%? No, yes. 55%. 55% of this is getting to, or more than 50% of this is going to road. So railways have lost their traffic to road, not only for coal, but for a number of other items. Right? And road transportation of coal has a lot of harassments, has a lot of risks, has a lot of environmental problems. So therefore, coal logistic is going to be with 1 billion ton coal. Coal logistic is an issue even today, every day, in fact. So you get into problem of how to get coal, how to get rake, how to get it moved to your power station. So therefore, a holistic view has to be taken. I think Coal India, Ministry of Coal did a study in 2022, coal logistic policy by Ministry of Coal. I happened to glance through this. This is very latest, 2022, with very optimistic thinking. Many things have come, but 2022 or 23, whether we are getting into this, where we are working with same seriousness, because what is important is that even before that, there is a SBI CAP study on coal logistics. So many studies are there. It's known. Should we use only coal rail transportation? Should we use pipe conveyors? Should we use MGR? Whole range of merry-go-round system. Merry-go-round system, as a part of NTPC, we were very much involved in this process. Railway had a reservation at that time, and it has proved that it has worked. So I think power sector planning, power sector location, power plant location, again time has come to look back that whether we should get to the policy of pithead power station nearby, within a radius of 30, 40, 50 kilometers, maybe preferably within a radius of 20, 30 kilometers, as we did in way back in late 70s when NTPC was formed. How much relief it gives to the transportation of coal. So therefore, first preference should be that do we have these power stations located? Generally, there will be exception here and there, but larger number of even future power stations besides the new power stations that we have, or it is under construction, should be in that. And then, to the extent possible, coal development plan, coal mine development plan should be integrated with the coal evacuation. Like we are doing power plant, we are not doing power plant without evacuation. One of the basic mistake was that there is no power plant without transmission evacuation being planned. It might be some mismatch here and there in implementation, but at the planning level, it is planned. Similarly, there should be planning of coal development along with its evacuation. I mean, imagine, I was just looking to it, 1980, only 15,000 megawatt was the thermal power capacity, only 15,000 megawatt. Today, thermal power capacity is 212,000 megawatt, including lignite, 212 and 15,000 megawatt. How much of railway change has happened? Same Howrah-Mumbai line and Howrah-Madras line, and then some tie line here and there. And I must compliment railway, how with signaling and all that they are able to do it. But then this called for 2-3 parallel lines to Howrah-Bombay and Howrah-Mughal Sarai and things like that, because these are the coal belts covering large areas. So one you have Orissa side, another is here UP and Madhya Pradesh and maybe part of Maharashtra. These are the coal blocks. But imagine the railway lines that have been done. But more importantly, I happen to be on the task force. In fact, I was the convener of the task force, which Mr. Prabhu presided over in 2014-15 when the new government came. And at that time also we suggested to, it is not that was the first time we suggested, earlier also we suggested, that Coal India should also form joint venture with maybe RITES or with the IRCONs to create their tie lines to the main line. So that, because Coal India presentation was, CMPDI presentation was, 100 million tons of coal remain blocked here and there because of transportation bottleneck. Then we asked, why not create this? Create a JV, you have a lot of money, create a JV. So I think thoughts have been there, but I'm not very sure that this coal logistic policy and the policy and the project that was done by SBI CAP, even now there is a serious implementation on this. Take, for example, own your wagon scheme. It is so unattractive that large number of industry groups have not come in this. Those who are forced to nowhere, only they are coming. So that means we want somebody to help us in railways, but we will make such a policy that it is unhelpful to the people who want to invest. How can it be done? I mean, it has to be equitable. It has to be in a manner smooth so that people get attracted and solve your problem. It is our problem, it is nation's problem, railway's problem, and coal problem. But railway, coal, government all put together, we make a scheme which is so restrictive and which is so non-remunerative that people will not go in for this. So that means own your wagon scheme, own your rake scheme. So we will cry for rake, we will cry for wagon, we will not do it. So that is another area. Another possible area that has been discussed also the coastal shipping. Are we promoting coastal shipping? Yet another area is the waterways. Are we promoting? So at idea level, many things have happened. But I think country has faced, very frankly, I tell you, I have all the compliments and praise to the coal people who have done a lot. But I also have a very critical comment to make that between railways and coal, they have remained monopoly for decades together, and this monopolistic structure has prevented any major thing to happen. Fortunately, that monopolistic structure is changing in case of coal. Sooner or later, it will change in case of railways. Railways should promote such tie lines to be done. Other organizations will go to the rescue of railway. Otherwise, coal was in the firing range. Coal has done commercial mining. Railway will continue to be in the firing range. And most of the traffic will continue moving to the roads with the harassment of everybody that is involved in this. I think that's some of the points I'm making. After listening to all of you again, we will come up in question answer and then try to sum up. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Next speaker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm there, sir. Next, I will request Shri Manoj Kumar Gangia ji to please come in. Let me just give a brief introduction of Mr. Gangia. Mr. Gangia is IRTS of 2000 batch. He is presently Executive Director of Planning, Railway Board. He was previously Director, Infra Connectivity, Niti Aayog, and Director, Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. He has previously held positions like Senior Division Operational Manager, Senior Divisional Commercial Manager, Senior Divisional Safety Officer in Indian Railways. He has completed his BTech from IIT Delhi. Mr. Gangia, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all the distinguished speakers and learned participants in this particular seminar. I would be basically talking about some of the initiatives that Ministry of Railways has recently taken in order to facilitate particularly the transfer of coal from production centers to consumption centers. Particularly, India has committed to become net zero by 2070. So we have basically a long time before we can completely switch over to net zero situation. And even then, what we believe is that 50 years is a long period. And in this period, it is expected that a lot of technological development would take place. And that would bring in a lot of new technologies for carbon capture and sequestration that will basically reduce the carbon that is being actually emitted into environment. And as it is already pointed out by previous speakers, that coal is going to remain the mainstay of energy production. We may have some kind of mix shift between renewable coal and other sources, for example, nuclear. And nuclear is very important in the sense that in 2070, India plans to construct a large number of nuclear power plants to actually shift over. Since nuclear power plants have a very long gestation period, construction period, etc. So meanwhile, coal has to grow as far as energy security of the country is concerned. Otherwise, we would not be able to meet up the basic demand which is required for a country like us to grow at 7 to 8% for next 10 years and 15 years. Having said that, Ministry of Finance has already predicted that our size of economy is going to grow 10 times from currently 3.5 billion trillion to USD to almost 32 trillion USD by 2047. So there is a tremendous growth ahead in coming 2-3 decades. And in order to support that growth, energy security is required. And energy security, when we talk about energy security, coal is the most comforting commodity that comes to our mind, because we have huge coal reserve, and we just can't do without coal. Being in how railway looks coal, because 50% of our traffic and revenue comes from coal. So there is definitely, as it has been pointed out by former Secretary Sir, that there is a over dependence of railways on coal traffic, and there is a responsibility as well, because coal is the mainstay of our energy need. So looking into the whole picture, it is very clear that railway has to carry coal, and mind it, I mean, it is very difficult to carry coal by any other transport, on road or any other mode, except our country is such that coastal shipping also, it is not a linear country. We are in a delta shape, so it's very hard. RSR has been tried. I will come to that RSR thing that is happening, and that we are thinking, but it has its own issues. RSR. Indian Railways has already planned to capture 3,000 million ton in next 7-8 years. So our current volume is 1.5 million ton. Last year we achieved 1.5 million ton, and we want to achieve 3 million 3 billion ton, 3,000 million ton by 2030. And almost half of it is likely to come from coal. So there is a massive plan to capture coal by Indian Railways, and to do that, Railway has already started a number of steps that will facilitate transportation of coal from production centers to different powerhouses spread over the entire country. And the first and foremost is commissioning of EDFC, Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. A month ago, maybe 1.5 months ago, Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor has been commissioned. That has already released a lot of capacity on the main route, and so we have already almost 4 lines from Sonnagar to Punjab. This year itself, Western DFC is going to be commissioned up to Baitarna. I mean, DFC, there are certain issues of execution, so there are some delay. But in this financial year itself, Western DFC would also be commissioned. That would release a huge capacity of carrying capacity on Delhi-Bombay route, and it will connect all the ports. When I say Western corridor, that will connect ports, JNPT, Mudra, and all Gujarat and Maharashtra port. And mind it, Indian Railways carries almost 80 to 85% traffic on our trunk routes, and this will ease out of 2 most important trunk routes. So that is massive development. This will happen this financial year, before March 24. Beyond dedicated freight corridor, last year Indian Railways has constructed and commissioned 5,200 new lines. That is unprecedented. I mean, it has never happened. Our average commissioning rate was 1,500 kilometers a year. Last year, Indian Railways has commissioned 5,200 kilometers of railway track. This year again, the plan is, or the target is to commission 5,500 and so on. So in the recent past, Railway has embarked upon a path of massive infrastructure creation so that a bottleneck can be eased. And as I have already explained, that 50% of traffic is coal. So there is a thinking and there is a lot of discussion that the kind of infrastructure expansion that Indian Railways is doing, whether will it be able to capture traffic? Is there any traffic available? And many people are saying that the coal may go away and we are creating infrastructure that will not be utilized. I mean, we are over creating. So that, rest assured, Indian Railways, Ministry of Railways is trying to create infrastructure at a pace that was never thought of in the past. Similarly, our current route length, track length is about 1 lakh 10,000 kilometers. Our plan is to almost double in 25 years. So for a country like India, 2 lakhs kilometers of rail track is a huge infrastructure. Our track density would be almost similar to Germany, which is the highest per square kilometer in the world. But that is little, 2 decades and 1 decade. Last year, we procured 27,000 new wagons. 27,000 new wagons. It is 10% addition in a single year. Our current capacity of wagons is 3.5 lakhs, and 27,000 new wagons were added, and the plan is to add 30,000 every year at least till 2030, means 8 years. So you can add up those numbers, and even if you subtract the condemnation and the old wagons, etc. Currently, we are 3.5 lakhs fleet. We are going to make 5.5, and that is not too far in future, just 7 years from now. So our wagon capacity is going to double, and this all would be our own purchase. I mean, we are not expecting private participation. Similarly, locomotives, last year we procured almost 1,200 locomotives, and our plan is to procure 1,300 to 1,400 locomotives every year. Now, as far as the total capex is concerned, last year the capex was 1.6. Last year, I mean financial year 21-22, 22-23. The current capex is 2.4. So almost there is a 50% jump in capex. We plan to spending almost 3 lakhs crore every year, which is double the last year expenditure for next coming 7 years. So the current capex is 2.4. This is unprecedented. So the kind of, I mean, the capacity constraint, etc., that is there, but it is going to be eased out very soon. Similarly, I would like to mention again, specifically to evacuate coal. I mean, every network expansion adds up to coal transportation directly and indirectly, because anyway 50% traffic is coal. So almost we construct railway line anywhere, there is a 50% probability that some coal, either empty rake or loaded rake, would move. So despite that, there is a specific plan. Almost 6 lakhs crore expenditure is planned on energy corridor. This is under consideration. That will link all the coal producing and coal consumption points. It is last mile connectivity as well as strengthening of the track route. We are also thinking of quadrupling the entire Golden Quadrilateral. So quadrupling the existing line between wherever the DFC has not been coming from. So quadrupling between Calcutta to Chennai, quadrupling between Chennai to Bombay, Chennai, Bangalore to Delhi. We are thinking of making it 4 lines, all across. Further, and this energy corridor will, I have already mentioned, that will specifically focus on coal evacuation and supply. RSR has also been tried, but there are issues with RSR, such as related to double handling, multiple handling, because bulk commodity is very hard to handle double times. RSR rail, sea rail route, that the coal produced in Talcher area would go to nearest port, and then it will go, I mean, it will take the sea route and come back to Gujarat and other ports, and then it will be fed to northern India. But with the commissioning of DFC, and we are also trying to strengthen routes from Talcher to existing DFC. There is again plan to extend the DFC, not DFC, but it's basically it will be a mixed line from Sonnagar to Dhankuni, so that there is a direct connectivity between the coal producing eastern block to the dedicated freight corridor, eastern dedicated freight corridor. So RSR has also been tried, but there are certain cost effectiveness and tariff issues. So it is happening at a really small pace. Similarly, in future, what we see that coal transportation by rail is the most efficient and most it has least carbon footprints. So we try to construct or create infrastructure in a way that it should be able to carry most of, if not all, most of the coal that is produced in the country and wherever it is required. That is the aim. Still, there could be some mix of transport system. I mean, obviously, there could be some last mile connectivity issues. There could be some areas where railway cannot cater to those system. But largely, coal transportation should be port transportation should be the responsibility of rail, and the rail should actually take it over. So in my conclusion, I would like to conclude that coal is here to stay, as the most of the speaker has already concluded. Technology of carbon capture and sequestration is going to be cost effective and going to be most effective because there is a long time available with us. And coal is the most easiest source of energy that is available to us, that will guarantee us energy security for the country. So the coal is going to remain mainstay of our energy need. And railway is basically gearing itself to carry whatever coal is produced in this country to the respective area and wherever it is required. So with this, I would like to stop. Any questions that I will take up in the
we will take up the questions later in the session.
Obviously, when everybody speaks, then thereafter.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gange. It was a wonderful, very encouraging remarks that you have given, which gives us a lot of hope that railway is planning to have huge investments in the evacuation infrastructure that is going to help by way of having record line construction this year, as well as induction of many more wagons into the system, and also procurement of locomotives. And also, it is very encouraging to know that within this year, 2 dedicated freight corridors will be added. So thank you very much. You have really given us very important information, which will give us coal producers particularly incentive to produce more and more, thinking that railway is there to back us up. It is very, thank you very much. So now I will request S.N. Prasad, former Director Marketing, Coal India. Shri S.N. Prasad has done MBA Marketing, joined Coal India Limited as Executive Trainee Marketing, and rose to the director position of Director Marketing, CIL, in the February 2016, and superannuated in the year 2019. Subsequently worked as consultant in NTPC, BCG, and other entities. Till recently, he was working also as advisor to Coal India and MOC Delhi. He is an entrepreneurial and result-oriented professional with 37 years of enriching experience in coal mining and supply chain management from coal fields to marketplaces. Initiated the concept and the process of implementation of first mile connectivity with the objective of elimination of road transportation from large mines to loading points to address environmental concerns. Also concentrated on rapid loading system, thereby better turnaround of railway wagons as well as enhanced evacuation. So now may I present to you Shri S.N. Prasad. Mr. Prasad, please.
Thank you very much, sir. And first of all, I take this opportunity to say my heartfelt namaskar to all my elders. I am seeing here my ex-chairman, Coal India, Mr. Chaudhary Sahab, my honorable Director Technical, under whom I have worked, Mr. U. Kumar Sahab. So it is well, and Mr. Gautam Sahab, all of you have been an inspiring source for me, and to work with full dedication and with full vigor to see that there is a turnaround in our coal industry. I have heard the eminent panelist to deliver a lot on the coal scenario and its evacuations also, and the renewables and others, which are going to be the future of the country and the future of the world. Despite of that, we all have to start. I don't want to deliberate on the productions and others, because those figures have already been made sacrosanct. That's 1 billion is already to be achieved this fiscal. 1012 is the target, which we are likely to achieve as the production is going as per the target, almost at all the places, including the captive coal block and the commercial miners. They are also doing well. But we all know, being the coal miners and others, that coal is not produced within the four walls of a factory. For production of coal, you require a lot of goods and a lot of things to be done. Coal is available in the eastern range of the country, where we find land acquisitions, the R&R policies, and others are a very tough things to be dealt with. Because my former CMDs and Chairman Coal India, they did a lot to bring the coal industry to this place that we are in a position to produce 760 million ton of coal in this current fiscal. And we are thinking beyond that to reach 1 billion ton of coal production by 2024-25. So it is not, no matter that it was a big challenge. Our predecessors have taken up the challenge, and we are now reaping the fruits of their soils and toils they have made during the past. We have discussed about the coal productions and the evacuations, things about the railways and others. So I will also concentrate my deliberations basically on the logistic challenges we face in evacuation and how the 1 billion ton of coal will be evacuated from the mines. Then how we are going to address that. The first challenge I find is at the coalfield end, because the coalfield end is basically the baby of the coal miners. So I will first deliberate on that. We all know that the coal is being transported, as present scenario, the coal is being transported from mines to the railway sidings for dump and load system. There the wagons are loaded within the pre-allotted time of 3 hours to 5 hours, depending upon the loading system over there. And there are some overloading, underloading, because we cannot have an accuracy in loading when there is a payload loading is involved. So all these things further affect our turnaround of wagons. Instead of loading the rakes within 3 hours or 3 hours, it is getting loaded by 5 hours or 6 hours. Some unloading, some payloader breakdown, others are there. So it was envisaged in 2018-19, when the vision of Ministry of Coal was being formulated. It was envisaged that we should done away with coal transportation from mine end to our railway siding end and to the nearby power stations, which we call the pitted power stations. So it was appropriate that we should come out with a vision document, and the vision document was having first mile connectivity. The first mile connectivity was envisaged, and it became a vision document, and it was envisaged that it will be completed in 3 phases. I am happy to inform this August gathering that there are 67 first mile projects to be achieved in 3 stages. 9 projects have already been commissioned with a PCR with peak rate capacity of 105 million ton. The second phase has got 35 projects with 450. And the first phase is already having 35 projects with a capacity of hauling 415 million ton. In the second phase, 9 projects have been taken with a haulage of 57 million ton. These are from mines to our rapid loading silo or pre-wet silo, so that the wagons are loaded exactly as per the requirement of the capacity of the wagon, and the evacuation is also faster. Instead of 3 hours loading, we all know the rapid loading silo can load within 1 hour also. And the third phase is of 17 projects with 317 million. These all are CIL projects. I am talking about Coal India projects. There are a total of 61 projects with evacuation plan of 881 million ton, 889 million ton, with an capex of more than 23,000 crores. So this is already in the work. In this year, we are going to complete many of the projects. Next year, and the rest 17 projects in the third phase will be tendered by 24-25. Within 2-3 years, those also will be completed. So this way, we are eliminating the road transportation. We all were talking about environmental friendly movement of coal. So this will reduce our pollution in the coalfield area, because if we keep polluting in the coalfield area, definitely the nearby villages and others will not allow us to mine coal, because they are also conscious about the pollutions control and others. So it will reduce our environmental pollutions, it will reduce the sound pollutions, and there will be better living conditions so far the mine area is concerned. Then this will also lead to better utilization of wagons. There will be better turnaround of the wagons. Then there will be saving in the diesel cost. So indirectly, we are helping the country by introducing the first mile connectivity to reduce the import of our POL. So those are the major USPs so far first mile connectivity is concerned, and I'm happy that this is on a right path. Once this is in place, then we are also having, in synergy with railways, state governments, the railway infrastructure projects have been in sales, and they have been taken up on a priority basis, and all capex and others have been earmarked for that, for completion of them. The railway evacuation projects are 15 projects costing 26,000 crores have been envisaged in the first stage, and 3 projects have been commissioned. 12 projects are under constructions, and afterward, since more and more coal has to come, so 192 additional projects were identified under energy corridor, including coal to meet the future energy demands. So by this, we are contributing our share. The coal. I'm a coal man, so I have been working with coal industries, Coal India. So I will say, this Coal India and the Ministry of Coal and the planning. In Niti Aayog and others, they all have been says that these coal projects have been prioritized, land acquisitions and others are being taken in priority, and we are hopeful that with this with this commissioning of this infrastructure, coal railway lines, coal connecting railway lines, the evacuation of our dream evacuation of 1 billion ton of this year is already in the possibility, because last year we have done around 900 million ton has been evacuated, and this year it will be 1 billion ton, and many more in the future, which is 2020-30. Roughly, we are envisaging around 1,500 million ton has to be evacuated. Now, we have heard about the third item I have taken is the rake availability. Right now, Coal India requires around 400 odd rakes on daily basis for evacuation of the present production scenario. Apart from that, there are some 50 odd rakes are required by the private coal miners. The captive coal block or the commercial coal miners, we can say. Then 60-70 is the import. Railway rakes are being utilized for that. So I understand that railways, as Mr. Gange was very kind saying, and these were the sweet words in our ear, that around more than 30,000 wagons are being procured on an annual basis. This has been in says. So this is definitely going to help the country to evacuate coal and bring the coal from the producing end to the consumption points. So this will definitely help. Then I am more concerned about the pollutions and others at the unloading point. Our former Secretary Power must be aware about that. It's very difficult to dispose of the fly ash generated at the long distance power stations. Rail fed power stations, we can say, because so for the mine and power station, pithead power stations, we have given the window of our exhausted mines to dump the fly ash. But for them, it will be difficult. So it would be always in the interest of the nation that we should reduce the volume of our coal, reduce the ash percentage in our coal before evacuating it. That is our washing of coal and reducing it to minus 34% stipulation, which has been withdrawn now by MOEF, it should be the August body. I will request the August bodies to put their words to the right words in the ears of our planners and MOEF, that this should be again started, that the coal of not more than 34% as should be transported from mines end to the rail-fed power stations situated beyond 500 kilometer distance. This will definitely reduce pressure on the railways. This will reduce our, degenerations of our, valuable land, which is being producing, food for our nation. So, keeping those things, we should definitely again think of going for washing of our coal before moving it by rail to at least 500 kilometers. Then another important aspect is that we have to plan future coal power stations, coal-based power stations in the vicinity of our coal fields. There are so many brownfields also. I think Ministry of Power has rightly planned that all the brownfield which is having other infrastructures, the capacity additions, they are known as candidate power stations. So that is being planned. So that is a very good thing is being done. In SLCIT also, this so many candidate power plants have been given the linkages so that they can tie up the finances and other things, and they can come up in the time to meet the energy requirement, ever-growing energy requirement of our nation. And coal being is rightly said that coal being the cheapest source of energy so far our country is concerned, we cannot done away with it. It has to remain in the mainstream to give the impetus to our growing requirement, the growing requirement of our energy. The peated power stations are already, most of them are on the dedicated peated modes like MGR, ropeway, then conveyor belt and others. So more and more power plants which are already commissioned. The Ministry of Coal, the present Secretary Coal and the Chairman Coal India and the entire team of the Coal Ministry and the Coal India is constantly interacting with the powerhouses which are situated within 50 kilometers to have this evacuation model of captive mode of evacuation model. So we are successful in persuading some of the power plants, and I think more and more power plants are going to come in the way to do it. So this will definitely reduce the pressure on the railway network, and this will also increase. Sahis has rightly said the evacuation transmission lines networking has been done. Evacuation of power is now not an issue so far grid connectivity, national grid connectivity is concerned. This is an old story that we can convert the coal into slurry and can be conveyed through pipeline also. This is because this was in the says 10 years back we used to hear. Now the technology has been upgraded. So I understand that from the Talcher coal field, that is one of the coal field, the coal can be moved to the eastern flank of our ports like Paradeep, Gangavaram, Dhamra, Vizag and others can be connected through. Coal can move through to the ports in the slurry form also. So that can be an issue, that can be an area where we can have something that the coal can move without any polluting the environment, and it can reach to the right place. And from Paradip and others, this RSR route, which is definitely, it is giving us a good opportunity to utilize our Sagarmala. Through Sagarmala, we can utilize the sea routes, and the national grid is also coming. So far, the inland water transportation is concerned in the Ganges and others. Avadi Kumar Sahib has rightly said that dredging will be required so far to make them happen. As we know that the Britishers, I belong to Patna, so I know that Britishers used to transport goods from from Bengal to up to that, at least up to the Allahabad, the goods used to be transported. So we can again revive that field. That is a good way of doing it. These are the few possibilities. Then the technology upgradations is also coming. Coal to liquid, coal to gas, gasification. These are the other ventures through which we can reduce thrust on the environment, and these are the environment friendly when we make it in gasify, and when we go for the liquefaction of the coal. Definitely it will give, the energy source will be there, and it will be environment friendly. We can go for the net zero emission scenario also, and it will remain a cheap source of our energy. So for coal gasification and coal to liquid, and the injecting them in our thermal power plants, that can be done, because there are coal-based, gas-based thermal power station, Bhuvana and others, they are working well, provided they get efficient gas. I have heard that GAIL has got very good infrastructure so far. Pipelines have been developed that can take care of this. If we are in position to successfully convert coal into the gas in the large volume, that can be utilized properly also, that is underutilized. I have heard somewhere, I have not very clear about it, but those are things. With these things, I understand that we would be in a position to evacuate coal and see that the country reaches the ambitious growth level, and we immediately reach to the from 3.5 trillion to 7.2 trillion, which is being envisaged, and beyond that in the futures. The coal is definitely going to stay, and at least for 2-3 decades, till we convert into, as we have heard, that the nuclear power plants and others have to come up. So we have to go for that. So for the renewables are concerned, because of very low PLF, I don't think that is going to replace the coal. Coal now, pithead is running around more than 95%, 95% PLF, and the other stations altogether is running around 65% PLF. So we understand that the coal is giving its contribution in the energy scenario. With these words, and thanking you all, sir, I would like to conclude now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prasad. It was indeed a very informative speech. You gave us the information about the program that Coal India is going ahead with the rapid loading system, and also the last mile connectivity, which is really the need of the hour. Because unless these things are there, it will not be possible to move this huge quantity of coal from the pithead to the consumer. You also gave us good information that we are trying to reduce all the road transport, which is very much needed. And with last mile connectivity, being taken up, I'm sure the road transport will certainly come down to zero, which is a must. And you have talked of many things about that. Then a little bit of shortage of time, I'll not go into it, but I thank you very much for giving a very, very elaborate information, and it gives an encouraging view that not only the railway side is getting geared up to take up this challenge, even Coal India is also making serious efforts to make sure that the evacuation of coal is done smoothly and rapidly, so that the full benefit of coal production is reached. You have touched a very important point, which is very dear to us, is the coal washing. Coal washing not only on account of improvement of coal quality, it is also important from the cost angle as well as the environmental angle of the ash movement. See, not only we will reduce the load on the railways, it will also save a lot of cost by not transporting the useless ash, which is of no value, to long distances. And we are also making serious efforts to bring it to the notice of the government that this particular circular must be revisited. The withdrawing of it is not a proper thing to our mind, and it must be in that form or some other form be reintroduced so that there is a pressure all over to use coal washed coal in the power plants. So thank you very much. Very nice of you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now I will request our next speaker, Shri Sabyasachi Hazara ji. Mr. Hazara has BSc Chemistry Honours, PGDM LLB from University of Calcutta, postgraduate diploma in Shipping and International Maritime Law, and Marine Insurance from Norwegian Shipping Academy. He became chairman and managing director of the Shipping Corporation of India Limited from September 2005 to December 2012, a very sizable period. During his tenure, the turnover and the gross asset value of the company increased substantially. The Government of India conferred Navratna status on SCI in August 2008 during his tenure. He was the president of Indian National Ship Owners Association. He was emeritus member of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, UK. He was a director and vice president of the International Shipping Federation. He published many papers in various shipping and non-shipping journals. He has many current directorship, membership, advisor, and other professional bodies and boards. He has been confirmed many awards and accolades. I'll run short of time.
Mr. Gautam, don't embarrass by going into
No,
that.
sir. I'll run.
Very big.
All right, sir. But you got many awards which I cannot list here because they are far too many. So now I present to you Mr. Sabyasachi Hazara. Please, Mr. Hazara.
Anyway, first and foremost, thank you, Mr. Gautam, for your kind introduction. At the outset, I would like to also thank IEF for inviting me and affording me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts with this August gathering. First and foremost, of course, I think the exceptions are Mr. Shahi Saab and Mr. Manoj. Otherwise, most of the other speakers, they're all coal people. I am not a coal man, so talking anything about coal is like bringing coal to Newcastle. So I will not attempt to do that very much. But only thing I would say that, I know that the topic is about 1 billion tons and, basically domestic transportation, domestic logistics. But I will just cover a little bit also about the international scenario. And, first and foremost, transportation, the mankind devised the means of transportation primarily to explore not only the natural beauties, but also civilizations across the globe. And over the centuries, or even I can say millennium, and, centuries and decades, the primary transportation for mankind has been the water transportation. Today, as we keep saying, that 90% by volume of the international trade and 70% by value gets transported by sea. But if we just look back a few decades, if we think of any of our ancestors who have traveled abroad for studies, we will see that even passenger transportation in the earlier era was predominantly by sea. Today, of course, it's by air, but till a few decades back, even the passenger transportation was predominantly by sea. So the water transportation is hugely important for mankind. And I would just narrate a very, very small incident. While, the railways, of course, very rightfully claim that they are also very environmentally friendly, I recall a discussion at the Parliament Annex C with the parliamentary committee. The then chairman was Mr. Sitaram Yechuri, and various ministries, not only Ministry of Shipping, but Ministry of Shipping, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Road Transport, Ministry of Aviation, all were sitting together for this discussion. And if I recall correctly, one Mr. Agarwal was the then Railway Board chairman who made the presentation on behalf of the railways. And he made a mention that railways, which is the most environmentally friendly mode of transport. Now, I knew Mr. P.K. Sinha, who was the then shipping secretary. He, of course, as you all know, later on became cabinet secretary for quite some time, and then he was also in the PMO. I knew Mr. Sinha is going to make the presentation subsequently, so I thought he would correct Mr. Agarwal. But unfortunately, I found that in Mr. Sinha's presentation, there was no mention to it. So when a question about something to do with shipping was raised at the forum, then Mr. Sinha said that I would not attempt to answer this since Chairman Shipping Corporation, Mr. Hazra, is here. He is better placed to answer this. So, Mr. Hazra, will you reply? So in my reply first, I requested Mr. Yechuri. I said, sir, if you permit me, I'll of course try to reply to that question to the best of my ability. But I'd just like to mention something before that. That is, while I do acknowledge railway is a very, very environmentally friendly mode of transport, particularly vis-a-vis aviation and vis-a-vis road transport, there is no comparison. They are far more environmentally friendly. But it is well acknowledged all over the world that there is nothing more environmentally friendly than the water transportation. And water transportation, particularly for bulk cargo and for long haul, is also acknowledged to be by far the most economic mode of transport. While talking about RSR, Mr. Manojji mentioned that there are, of course, issues. Undoubtedly, there are issues, and there are costs of the total transportation. But, I have always said that since independence, India has invested not 100, but hundreds of thousands of crores into road transport and railway transport. Unfortunately, in the water transport, India has not even invested 10,000 crores. I fully acknowledge that the present government for the first time is laying a lot of emphasis on coastal transportation and inland waterways. But since independence, very little has been done as far as water transport is concerned in India. So things hopefully will change, because you cannot say that door to door, the water transportation is coming out to be more expensive. That is because we have not invested in river conservancy. We have not invested in improving the draft. So all these investments have not been done, and that's what makes the water transport today more expensive. Otherwise, all over the world, like in Europe, domestic transportation happens through water. In India, the to fulfill in terms of international treaties, COP 26, and then thereafter, Paris, Copenhagen, and all that. One of the best ways to do that is to shift domestic freight transportation primarily from road to sea, of course, but even in terms of both carbon footprint as well as greenhouse gas emission, water transport is even far more environmentally friendly than the railways. So while we do acknowledge that, in terms of this 1 billion tons, the railways huge, investment program is going to be very, very helpful. But at the same time, I think the policymakers should very seriously look at the coastal transportation and inland waterways, because that will be by far the most environmentally friendly way of moving moving coal. And as he has rightly said, something like 53% of the freight transportation for railways is coal. So coal, of course, is the most important thing as far as railways is concerned. And even internationally, I would say that coal is very important. I think as far as thermal coal and metallurgic coal put together, the seaborne transportation comes to about 1.4 billion tons, which is only next to iron ore, which is about 1.55 billion tons. So coal as a whole, both both thermal, which is by far the more important one, thermal and metallurgic put together is almost as much as the iron ore. And there is only one commodity which is more than these, that is the crude oil, of course. The other thing, of course, I completely agree with all my previous speakers, including Shahi Saab, that I think not only the coal, but in general, the fossil fuel is going to stay for decades, if not centuries. We have all heard, I think at least over the last few decades, that the era of oil is over because the oil reserve is going to exhaust. But I had maintained at least 2 decades back that we are only thinking in terms of the present technology. The future technology of going deeper and deeper into the offshore oil field is going to, totally change. So what we look at oil reserve today is not going to be the oil reserve a few decades hence. So oil reserve also is not going to end at all in quite a few decades. Similarly, coal, of course, India is well off in terms of its reserve. And I think even the Indian reserve, whatever is today predicted, could go up substantially in future. And I think the importance of logistics, importance of transportation is going there to stay for almost all time to come, because the center of production, be it manufacturing, be it farming, be it mining, whatever it is, and the center of consumption, they are thousands of miles apart. And the factors governing center of production and center of consumption, they are totally different. The center of production depends on, first and foremost, the natural reserves of different countries. It also depends, as far as manufacturing is concerned, it also depends on the economic competitiveness of different countries. Whereas the center of consumption depends on population. It also depends on the purchasing power of different countries. So what I mean is that these two, center of production and center of consumption, they depend on different factors. And for most of the important commodities, they are, as I said, thousands of miles apart. Of course, there are exceptions. In coal itself, we find 2 exceptions. That is, China and India, being the 2 foremost consumer of coal, also have abundance of coal. So, but that is similarly in the case of oil. If we look at USA today, in terms of crude oil production, USA has gone ahead of even Russia or Saudi Arabia. But those are exceptions. By and large, we see that the point of production and point of consumption, they are far apart. So that's why I have always said from time to time to my friends in different industries like oil industry, like coal industry, that of course we are service providers. You are the principals, we are your service provider, but then at the same time, because of the importance of logistics, I think we can rightfully claim that we are also your partners. So I think, shipping per se and logistics overall, they are extremely important for any industry, including that of coal. And of course, we have been talking about this 1 billion ton now for, I think, almost a decade. If not, you will be knowing better, but we have been talking about it for a long time. But somehow, only I think from year before last or last year, the production has really started to move up. I think last year it was close to 900 million tons. This year, of course, as every other speaker has said, it is supposed to exceed 1 billion ton. But for a long time, we have been hearing this figure, but only now it has really become realistic. And as Coal India, Mr. Prasad ji, as he has mentioned, Coal India itself is going to produce more than 1 billion tons soon. So I think these are all good news for India, because in terms, as Shahi Sahab has said, in terms of per capita energy consumption, India has a very, very low base. I am not absolutely up to date, but at one time I used to say that people talk about pollution, people talk about environment, but if per capita energy consumption in America is something like 15 times that of India, if it is 3 or 4 times in China, then after all, how can we agree to follow the same measures? Of course, the Kyoto Protocol has been there, CBRD and things like that. But, you know, we see in many cases that these are becoming stumbling block for the growth of the country until the time our population, they have their own aspiration. So till the time we come up to a certain base, till the time the whole world, particularly if we talk of Africa, they are even so far behind us, Asia Pacific. So till the time there is at least a minimum level of uniformity, it's very difficult to have uniform measures all across the globe, because we are not at the same level. So I think these are all very, very important points. As I said, anything I try to specifically talk about coal becomes bringing coal to Newcastle, so I will not go very much into it. And rather, in case there are, I would not like to take too much of time in my initial presentation. I would be very much happy if there are questions, so that while trying to answer those questions, I can elaborate more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hazra, for your speech. You have very emphatically insisted that any material transported through waterways is the most environmentally friendly as well as most cost effective. Yes, we agree, but seeing that we are not utilizing this mode very much. And I quite agree with you that there has not been much investment in this route. But however, we have to invest more, because any other transport which is better and can take the load away from railways is good for us. So thank you very much. But we do look forward that more and more goods as well as coal is transported through waterways. So thank you very much. I see Mr. Anil Rajdan is here. So may I request him to have some comments on the topic of today. Mr. Rajdan, please. Are you there, sir? Mr. Rajdan, can you hear me?
Doesn't appear to be there.
Well, I saw his name. He's there. Maybe. Okay, then we'll go ahead with our program. And that is that now I throw the floor open for questions to the panelists. So if there are any questions, please come online. Thank you very much.
Just a minute. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. Make the question little brief, Mr. Sharma.
I'm Rajdan, sir.
This is Mr. Rajdan.
Yes.
I thought Mr.
Yes, sir,
Rajdan who was requested to come in with his comments. So he can hear us now, and he is there.
Yes, sir, Mr. Rajdan, please come in.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Now, I just had just 2 questions of the railways, and one from our dear distinguished colleague, Mr. Hazra. About the railways, you see, my question was that when are we going to separate carriage and content and promote competition in the railways? And secondly, coal transportation, like most of the freight, is, I think, subsidizing passenger transport, making it more expensive for the consumer. when is the subsidy of the passenger transport vis-a-vis the freight transport going to end? And from Mr. Hazra, my question is that, you see, for transporting by sea, you're right, for coastal projects, yes, by sea transportation, you can take the goods, but you will have to first ship onto the port, and secondly, hopefully, the point of consumption also is available on a port. And while the railways is running on electricity, the maritime transport is yet running on fossil fuel. That's it, sir.
Let Manoj ji first answer his part, then I will answer mine.
So Manoj ji, please.
Sonia?
Sir, if I have understood your question correctly, you are talking about rate revision of coal transportation because we have been emphasizing, or we have been basically telling that our freight services are passenger services are subsidized by freight services, etc. This is policy issues. Basically, there are two answers. First, the government answer is that it's a policy issue. Government has taken a conscious decision that somehow in a country where per capita GDP is not comparable to the developed world, you have to give subsidy to some sector, in a sense that, so it is always better to give direct subsidy to the person traveling, because whenever we compare the freight and fare ratio, the cost to carry one passenger per kilometer and cost to carry 1 ton per kilometer of different countries, the countries who are better are developed countries, where per capita income are anywhere between 10 times to 20 times, sometimes 50 times. So in a country where per capita income is 10 times better, then the PKM, the cost to transport one person, would be comparable to cost to transport 1 ton of goods per kilometer. But in a country where the per capita income is lower, it is a proper, genuine policy from the government to subsidize passenger services and to charge freight which market can carry. And suppose for a minute, you presume that I'm a private operator. I'm CEO of a company and I'm running my private business. Even then, the economy says that I will charge my product which market can bear. This is enshrined in railway policy ages, that railway would charge a particular goods which market can carry. Like we charge automobile quite less than what we charge iron ore, what we charge coal, what we charge other commodities. So it's fairly, if you look things from private perspective, from economy point of view, or in pure economics, it makes sense to charge my transport which market can bear, because there has been discussion ki koila carry nahi kar pa rahe hain. Okay, so if my service has demand, I will price.
Sir, pardon my interruption because of paucity of time. Your, you see, this thesis is well understood in the subsidy issue. But as far as the power sector is concerned, it has been repeatedly been said that if somebody is to give power, if the state has to, it has to give subsidy, the state should bear it. The power tariff issue has been running for decades on this issue. It's very good. You are charging tax from the public. you subsidize it if the government wants to subsidize a certain section of passengers. Why should one segment of consumers be subsidizing another segment? After all, at the end of the day, power is consumed even by the poorest of people. And you're making power more expensive unnecessarily. So subsidy at one end is going to end up in another subsidy at the other end. So if the government wants to do this as a government policy, please do so. And I think these issues could have been settled and debated much earlier if the much touted railway regulator had come in place. Almost 2 decades back, I think a cabinet note was moved but then shelved.
I hope I have clarified the policy position as on date.
All right. All right, sir. So
Second
now,
one, the second one is that railway is carrying the railway is carrying freight through electricity, but electricity is being generated through fossil fuel. So how come it is environmental friendly? You see, the carbon intensity of coal is little higher than oil, and again the oil carbon intensity is little higher than gas. But by and large, our cost on fuel for per kilometer of transportation is far lower than road. So our other costs are high, but the fuel cost is low. And railway is a system where, but both the costs are comparable. So road cost per kilometer and railway cost per kilometer are same, but fuel cost or fuel consumption is almost 5 to 7 times lower than the road. So the carbon load to transport 1 kilometer is also 5 to 6 times lower than road. If you translate it into the road, the carbon impact, if you transport the same kilometer, same tonnage of coal over a particular distance, would almost come down to 3 to 4 times less carbon intensive than road. So in that sense, just because that we are fuel efficient, but the overall cost is comparable. So our other costs like fixed infrastructure cost, our staff cost, signaling, track, etc., is much higher than road. There are other issues as well because we provide everything. In trucking industry, it is being provided by private. Complicated. But by and large, all study points it out that the carbon impact is almost 5 times lower than road, and it is almost comparable, slightly more than the shipping, water transport. Cost-wise...
Pardon my interruption. I never said that you substitute rail transport with road transport. I was only saying, when are you going to separate carriage and content so that there is private competition, others can move in, there is competition in the railways. At the moment, the railways is a total monopoly. You can keep the tracks with you, but surely the traffic on it, if you can allow private sector to come in or other operators, then there'll be competition. There'll be a tariff competition.
This is policy issue. It was tried some time back to give certain private train operators in passenger to run the, and there are a lot of issues. Please understand, even as private operators, the experiment was done, but very few bidders came. Finally, IRCTC has to bid and then take the contract. All private bidders, they backed out. It happened 2 years ago.
Thank you, Mr.
Wherein we try to give train operations on select routes or on most of the routes to private operators, giving this track. But very few people or nobody came. Finally, IRCTC has to take it up, and then there were certain issues, so it could not materialize. So there is a policy thinking going on, but somehow there are issues. I mean, it is not easy to private people to come and invest in railway system.
Thank you, Mr. Gange. Can I ask Mr. Hadra to take up his answer,
Yes,
please?
yes,
Mr. Hadra.
I'll try to answer. I'll try to answer to the best of my ability Manojji's question. But before that, Manojji mentioned about this, cost of transport. I would only, like to quote my previous minister, Mr. Gadkari, who was very fond of saying that if the shipping cost is 25 paisa per ton kilometer, the cost for railways is about 75 paisa, and the cost for road is 1 rupee 50 paisa. He was very fond of saying this in various forums. So I thought I will just mention this. Secondly, of course, Manojji also mentioned that railway transport is, slightly more, in terms of carbon footprint and greenhouse emission, it is slightly more, harmful than that of shipping. But whatever figures I have come across, it is at least, water transport is at least about 30-40% more efficient, both in terms of carbon footprint as well as in terms of greenhouse gas emission vis-a-vis railways. Of course, road, there is no question. We are, if we compare, if we compare aviation, it is 50 times more efficient. If we compare road, it is at least 5 to 6 times more efficient, and railways, as I said, 30-40% more efficient than railways. Now, coming back to Mr. Razdan's question, I agree. Of course, the best situation is, center of production, center of consumption, both being in the coast. So almost the entire transportation can be done by water transport. That is the best. But even if supposing it is the distance is 1,500 kilometers, and if we can cover 1,000 to 1,200 kilometers by water transport, if we invest into the last mile connectivity, into conveyor belts, into all the last mile connectivity as we understand, I am sure the overall cost will become definitely cheaper in the overall transport. And plus, we never take into account, unfortunately, the environmental aspect while comparing the cost. As I said, if we have to, fulfill our obligation as far as the international treaties are concerned, the best way will be to move as much as domestic freight transportation is possible into water transport. And firstly, it is so difficult to expand road and rail because the question becomes that of land acquisition. Whereas here is one resource, the water resource, which is available almost free. As long as you can develop the depth, you can invest into increasing the draft, and through river conservancy and through various other means, and you develop the last mile connectivity, this will be definitely the best solution. Another solution, of course, it has been already mentioned, I'm repeating, is that of not transporting, the ash content by bringing washeries at the pit head, basically. So, and I have been privy to many discussions between my two friends, Arup Rai Chaudhary of NTPC and Partho Bhattacharya of Coal India, where Arup has said, I have been saying that NTPC will pay all the cost for coal washery, and Partho saying, no, cost has never been the issue. I don't know why washeries have not been built, because after all, as it has been mentioned here, it is far easier, far cheaper to make the coal more environmentally friendly than to go in for alternate. Of course, alternate will come, and because of their very low base, the pace of growth will appear to be much faster in solar, in wind, in hydro, all that. Yes, the percentage will come definitely more, but in absolute terms, it will be a long time before they can even think of substituting a small portion of what is being done by coal today or by oil today. So fossil fuel is there to stay. The other thing I would like to say, Anilji mentioned about railways being on electricity, whereas we run on fossil fuel. but I would only mention, firstly, IMO is taking so many measures in terms of the fuel being made more environmental friendly. Fuel itself, in terms of sulfur, in terms of carbon, in terms of everything. And at the end of the day, despite using fossil fuel, as I said, shipping as it is far more environmentally friendly than railways, even if railways run on electricity. So that is the issue. We contribute about 2.7% of the world emission, whereas we carry, as I said, nearly 90% of international trade by road. I'm not saying that this 2.7% should not go down further. Of course, it should go down further. Every sector has their responsibility to, work towards betterment of environment. But at the same time, it should be acknowledged that we are the most environmentally friendly. And for road particularly, little bit for rail, the cost, the social cost of accidents, social cost of death, of damage to property, these are not even taken into account. Because fortunately, fortunately for maritime, the proportion of cost to the society in terms of accidents are far less than the other modes of transport.
Thank you.
So I hope I have been able to answer the question to the extent possible.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hazra. Thank you so much for your apt reply. And now I can ask a few more questions. We are short of time. So I'll request the question, the person asking question to be brief and to the point of the theme today. Please, I will request to that.
May I ask one question, Mr. Gautam?
Yes, sir.
Please, my brief comment that railway and Coal India and the coal both have been non-transparent while fixing up the tariff, etc. And there is a need for setting up the regulators in both these sectors. It will answer Mr. Rajdan's question also. Number two, Mr. Shahi mentioned in the beginning that whenever we plan with the production and the evacuation are planned together, the CEA also plans for generation, etc., and projects for 5 years and 10 years and 20 years from hence. Whether the railway has mentioned a lot of good plans, but I want to ask the railway whether they discuss with CEA and the coal together to check out what is the kind of how many tracks are required, how many wagons are required, and how much they are, what shortage they would experience at the end of the day. Not that you are investing so much is okay, but whether such an exercise has been done, where you have said you have taken all these 2-3 departments together.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Gange, please take it up little briefly. We are running short of time. Thank you, sir.
We have regular mechanism to review the wagon shortage and the track constructions wherever going on, which concerns coal evacuation and coal supply. Meeting usually happens on monthly basis, and this meeting is 2-tier and 3-tier at least. Many times secretary level meeting also happens, power secretary as well as coal secretary, they take meeting, and the entire railway establishment, those who are connected with wagon supply and construction, they remain with there and then a brief that what is the progress, what's going on, where are the new lines that is required, and we do it in consultation with Ministry of Power and Ministry of Coal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Yes,
I want one question. I have one question, please.
Let Mr. Sharma come in. He is getting impatient.
As usual.
Mr. Sharma, you are not audible.
Mr. Sharma is muted. Mr. Sharma is muted.
You are muted. You are muted. Yes, please.
So,
brief.
Mr. Hazra, we did a study in Planning Commission. The coastal movement is 1/6 less energy intensive compared to the road, and the railways are 1/3 or 1/4 less energy intensive compared to road. If you have a look at the freight charges from Kalimantan, Indonesia to Dahej for 3,000 nautical miles, that's about $8 per ton. But railways, of course, that's an administrative tariff that's about something like 2,500 rupees per ton for 1,800 kilometers from Talcher to Banakbori in Gujarat. Now that's a bit of distorted, but yes, since it is an administrative tariff, one can't really, and it is an opportunity which railways are charging. But the big thing which I was wondering is that in spite of so much talk about the coastal movement, because of buoyancy effect, it's really very cost effective. Things have not been done. We have created DFCCIL. Now both eastern and western corridors are 90% complete. Yes, they could be, connected with the coastal movements so that, yes, you could have a multi-modes of both rail and coastal movements, and some of the load on road could be really reduced. In railways, what happens is that they consume about 2.5 million tons of diesel and about 20,000 million unit, 20 billion units of electricity. The electricity bill is somewhere around 10,000 crore. The diesel bill is about 25. It's in the range of 23 to 25,000 crores. So obviously, the 100% electrification is going to impact quite a lot railways in terms of savings are concerned. So that's one part which is going to really impact. Now, Mr. Prasad, I was just wondering that coal gasification you were talking about. We import coal, but I don't know to what extent the gasification is really going to be the gain for in terms of coal imported vis-a-vis the gasification for the coal supplies to replace the imported coal, because the imported coal is
Mr.
Sharma, the gasification is very cost.
Mr. Sharma, we are going into a different field altogether. See, gasification is a different aspect. So I will request, in paucity of time, let us stick to the theme of the webinar, rather than straying away. Otherwise, we'll never finish.
Mr. Hajra, this connecting DFCCIL versus the coastal movement, what you have to say?
Yes, right, that is the question. Mr. Hajra, please reply briefly.
Yeah. No, yours is more of a comment rather than a question, and I totally agree with you. There should be multimodalism. There should be seamless movement between one mode to other. That is the best way to go forward. But for bulk transportation over a long haul, policies should be framed in such a way that most of the part is covered through water transport. As I said, it is not only for economic reason, but also for environmental reason. So whatever you have said, almost in all cases, I agree with you. You have said the right thing. So I have nothing further to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Hajra.
How now to we can take road to coastal movement. Road to coastal movement.
No, of course. As I covered everything by saying multimodalism and seamless movement between different modes of transport. So of course, there should be all the modes of transport, but one should try to ensure that the maximum distance is covered by sea, then by rail, and the minimum portion is covered by road, both for economic reason as well as for environmental reasons. Okay, I think we have very less time, so Mr. Gautam is struggling with it. Let us move on.
I have one question from Mr. Sabyasachi. That is
Please.
Regarding, you mentioned, I agree with you that transportation by waterways is cheaper, but handling at the ports at both the ends is adding to the inefficiency in cost, at least in India. We need to address that only, then it becomes effective.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Mr. Grover, and that is primarily because of the unionism in various, particularly major ports, which are so-called, the central government ports, where the unions are very strong, and over the decades or even century, in many cases, the tariff has built up, and there are pensions in some of the ports, particularly old ports like Kolkata and Mumbai, So obviously these are issues which require to be tackled. And if you can tackle them correctly, then of course the cost will come down further. But despite all that, I still maintain, I mean, as I said, I can only keep on quoting my previous minister, Mr. Gadkari, that at the end of the day, in terms of, ton mile cost, the shipping, particularly for long haul, is by far the cheapest mode of transport.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we can take one more question, last question. Because of paucity of time, I'm sorry, we will not be in a position to take any more questions. Are there any more questions, please? If none, then I will request Mr. R.V. Shahi, our president, to come for his.
Just one. Allow me to take one question. Mr. Hazara has been always saying that he's quoting Gadkari and all. Whether you agree to Gadkari's statement based on certain facts, etc., or not?
Yes, I fully agree. That I have been also saying, I quoted him, but I have been also saying that it is for that reason that internationally, I quoted Europe, that 44% of their domestic freight transportation goes through the water. And that is because it is by far the most economic mode of transport. So I completely agree.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Can I request Mr. R.V. Shahi, our president, to give his concluding remarks, please, Mr. Shahi?
I think it has been a very good discussion. We had very excellent presentations by all the three eminent panelists. In the beginning, Gautam made a few points, I made a few points. These presentations have covered very extensively all the issues. The basic point is that railway plans, and railway plans are very huge, as Mr. Gangia pointed out. Whether these plans are being developed in a project management mode, because my association with railways way of doing, and I was all along critical, but maybe things might have changed, that it picks up so many projects, provides inadequate budget, and year-to-year budget is given, and it starts and it takes 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years. That's not the way project is planned. Project is planned is that this is the project, total capex is so much. This year, this will be the outlay, this year, this will be the outlay, and then you try to balance your fund flow and your requirement. So I think if this has changed, then it is fine. If the railways are in surplus, like it shouldn't be like highways. Highways went in a big way, and later on they realized that they cannot cope with that much of money, and they started then saying that we will sell off some of the routes. And it is there where the relevance of Anil Rajdan's question comes. That the task is so huge and the financial outlay will be so large. Whether all that is being planned, which have been projected by Mr. Gangia, is adequately financeable or financed or not. That's the point. If we try to finance through excessive cross-subsidization, then your industry will become sort of ineffective, non-competitive. So those are the issues which need to be taken care of. What was somewhat discouraging and disappointing that even now, I made that point that energy sector has a struggle between two monopolistic organizations, coal on the one hand and railways on the other. Coal, something has happened. I tried when I did electricity, I tried for Coal Act also. But Coal Act took 15 years. After Electricity Act, about 12 years. Railway, even now, that's not happening. Some of the services are being offloaded. So I think question of Anil Rajdan was very relevant. I'm telling you that 1 billion ton, we have captioned this. Perhaps we should have captioned this 2 billion tons because 900 million ton already we have done. 1 billion ton we will do somehow. The road will supplement, somebody else will supplement. So therefore, railways plan and coal sector plan should exactly go in the manner that when power projects are being planned or any large projects are being planned where coal movement is a necessity, that evacuation plan should be a part of that process. Unless that is integrated for a group of power projects and group of industries in different belts, we will be having problem. That does not seem to be the approach. Whereas in power, that approach has been there for quite some time. It also needs some improvement. That evacuation plan is an integral part of the planning of project development. The evacuation plan should be an integral part. I think Mr. Prasad made a number of points. I picked up some of them because this rapid loading station and all this is not new. I have been also critical of Coal India from other side. I was on the Northern Coalfield Board. And those days also we were talking of evacuation. Those days also we were talking, it has tons of money. I mean, for years together, it could have taken up a few connecting links to the main railway system. We can't go on blaming railways always. And therefore it has not done. Even the task force report we gave in 2014-15, that has not been followed. So I think everything I mentioned to you, I have gone through in the last 1 week, 2-3 reports. Reports have been there. Logistic plan by SBI CAP and logistic plan by the Coal India, the PIB plan. Question is whether those things are being implemented. I think one of the important points that emerged, and we have been trying to follow it up, is why don't we wash coal, reduce its as content to below 34% or 30 to 34%, so that the whole tonnage reduces and therefore the burden on transportation reduces. I mean, that is a retrograde step that was taken a year or two back, and that we will definitely try to follow up. So far as the discussion of water versus with Mr. Hajra is a very good point. I also agree. But it is not one or the other, Mr. Hajra. Question is, if you are talking of 2 billion ton, definitely waterways, you are not thinking in terms of 2 billion ton to handle. Coastal shipping has been there. I still remember that power stations in Tamil Nadu used to use coastal system, there's a shipping system, to take coal from the north to their power stations. So that is possible. Or you bring coal from Mahanadi coalfield right up to Maharashtra side or Gujarat side, that is quite possible through coastal shipping. But the point is, waterways inside in India would be only a supplementary role. It cannot be a major role of solving the problem of transportation. So while one is in agreement with you that maybe economics of water transportation could be justified, environmental aspects of water transport could also be justified. But the amount of tasks that you have, 1 billion tons, then 1.5 billion tons, then the 2 billion tons, through inland waterways, if that can be done, that is very difficult. Ganga from Patna, I mean from here, UP to West Bengal, that is being planned for 6-7 years. Mr. Gadkari has been after that. World Bank has also been trying to put some fund into this, but these are taking time. So therefore, transportation through inland waterways is definitely a justified point. But if we are saying one versus or the other, it may not be justified. I think I also suggested that since coal is going to stay for the power sector, I think we should get back to the principle of pitted power stations, nearby colliery power stations, so the transportation itself reduces. Privatization of part of the work, part of the activities, I will re-emphasize that railway should consider. I am not very sure, despite what Mr. Ganga has said, whether we will be able to solve these hassles and harassments of both coal sector and power sector at the hands of railways in coming years, because rake becomes a problem. I mean, it is very encouraging, Mr. Ganga, you have said 5,200 new wagons and 5,500 more wagons. But when I review power projects even today, I am in touch with most of the power plants people. They have problems. They do have problems. They continue to have problems. And they will continue to have problems if we try to say that only railways will do everything. I think we will have to supplement their efforts. I think with that, I thank you very much and thank you all to participate and be nice enough to prepare and give a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
May I
you.
request Mr. S.K. Grover to give the formal vote of thanks. Mr. Grover, please. Mr. Grover is the Mr. Grover?
And Mr. Grover who asked a question, did he think he's giving vote of thanks?
No, sir. Is he there or is he not there?
He's not
Yeah,
there,
you can do his job.
No, sir. So I'll make it very brief. Like you have already thanked on behalf of India Energy Forum, I thank on behalf of the coal sector of India, coal vertical of India Energy Forum, to all the people who have taken the trouble to join, and particularly the eminent speakers who have given us such a lot of information, which is mostly very encouraging from my point of view. And I look forward that whatever they have tried to project is really implemented, then it'll seriously mean something there, because we have heard projections previously also, but they are not implemented. Like railways, I remember I was an advisor in Government of India, and one railway line was sanctioned in the year 99. And then only very recently I have heard that it has just got completed. So if that be the time frame, then it is very difficult. But however,
They may have changed. They may have changed that.
it looks like, sir, things are changing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is all very encouraging. So thank you all of you, for taking the trouble of coming and listening to this webinar. Thank you so much.
Manoj, I will drop in sometime in your office to get more details. This is very interesting.
Sir, it will be my honor, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks,
All of
everyone.
you.
You have a lot
Thank you,
of
everyone.
information,
Thank
and
you.
you are very much integral part of this whole process. So it is better to keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.